Hello again, everybody. Time for something new. We have here is Delmonico model FMS-749. This thing is made in Japan. It's kind of a lower tier radio, but it's a little AM FM stereo receiver. A little wood grain cabinet. Really nothing major to it. Apologize for running you around here, but let's have a look at this dude real quick, which is what I should have done to begin with. Figure out how to. This is what the receiver looks like up close. Delmonico. Got a little pilot indicator here. Balance off, tone loudness, AM, FM, stereo selector, AFC, automatic frequency control, tuning, automatic frequency control, FM stereo. Covers it. AM bands. Wood grain is a little, the wood and grill is in fine shape for what it is. Front grill is, the bevel is good. The veneer, having some issues right here. Gonna have to do something with that. I'm not sure what yet. Figure that out. Oh yeah, there we go with that noise. Here's the back of the radio. Still has the cover. I think I bought this at a garage sale. Well, my wife found it for like $5. And the FM antenna goes right here. The AC power plug goes there. The serial number was about to fall off. I found it and taped it back on. So let me put the camera somewhere stable and let's take this thing apart and see what it's made of. Okay, got you back around here to my work surface. A little work table. Let's take the back off. It's only got a couple of screws that I don't think are normal. Original to this set. No biggie. Pull the cover off. And there she blows. Get y'all over here closer, or if y'all want to take a look, we can both take a look together if I can make this radio work. There's the chassis. There's the line cord. Come in handy. Little loop antenna, little internal antenna. It just goes through a little hole in the back and connects to one of the FM ports. Let's see here. Output transformers, left channel, right channel, or right channel, left channel, whatever. Tuner board right here. This is the AM detector and the FM detector board. Little speaker. You got two speakers here, two speakers here. So first thing we want to do, let's go ahead and get this thing out. So to do that, table around, pull all the knobs off. Alright. Let's go ahead and unhook the speakers. We don't need them on right now. We just need to get all this stuff out of the way. Alright, speakers out. Everything's disconnected. front knobs off. It don't look like there's nothing else holding it, so very carefully. It does have all the original screws in the bottom, and the schematic is on the bottom, which I believe I have one that I can download online. So I have to worry about this reading this little dude. It's a very simple looking little set, and I've already had this thing open. It will play. It just needs a lot of love. We'll need some power supply filters, probably some coupling filters. Well, not coupling filters. You're gonna need some caps in it. Let's see what's holding it. Let's see. Got to get the dial cord off. See if I can get it off without anything major. Not OS's. There. Get that out of the way. Sorry about that. Alright, we got it to where we can get to it now. Oh my lord, let's see. Let me get the camera here. Let's get a closer look at this thing for you guys. Let's see, let's start back here. This is the model number, FMS-749. Serial number is B4615, as you can see, made in Japan. I don't know about you people, but I'd rather see something made in Japan than I would made in China any day. So let's see here. Tuner section. This is the whole tuner assembly right here. I got my hands across. And if you may or may not notice, you see those cans, that's that look like they're leaning. That's the whole tuner assembly. Let me get my pointer. Everybody, sorry about that. Okay, anyway, it's an FMS-749 model number. The serial number is B4615. Tuner section right here is going to need some work because the little rubber mounts. Oh, I forgot where I was at. Rubber mounts right here are a little bit on the rotted side, if you can see that. So it's shifted downward because of the pressure being exerted by the dial cord, so it's pulling the whole thing down. So I've got to do something with that that will level this board up, and then we'll get all my tensions right. There's the AM loop right there, the ferrite antenna, should I say. So it's got a bunch of Japanese tubes in it. Let's see here. I don't have my glasses on. Let's see, what's this thing? That looks like a 17 EW6, or is that an 8? Like an 8. 17 EW8. I don't exactly know what these little dudes are, but that's apparently the Iaf amplifiers. Let's see what else we got. We got another one here that's probably the same. Like a couple of twin trodes, maybe. Probably a detector chip, the two outputs. I think the two outputs are 50 C5s, I'm not sure. But we'll figure all that stuff out. But as you can see, it needs a little love. But it needs to be cleaned out. I'm going to take it to my shop here in just a minute and blow it out, blow all the dust off of it, and take a brush to it and clean it up. So let me go do all that and I'll come back. Alright, I took it outside, blew all the dust and stuff out of it. It's made a big difference in it. It's still pretty grimy. I can scrub it there and get a little bit, so I'm going to have to deep clean this thing. But like I said the other day, a while ago, I already had this thing apart, looked at it a few days ago. Yep, I cleaned it alright. It does have a bad filter cap, which is this guy over here, if you can see it. looks like 60 microfarads at 150 volts. This is a line powered set. Does not have a power transformer. Looking underneath, really not much to it. Looks like typical Japanese workmanship. So you got your two audio output tubes here. It's probably the driver tube phase splitter here, I would imagine. Something back here that looks discolored, looks like probably a resistor. Other two resistors here enclosed in some heat shrink looking stuff. Clear shrink tubing. They look like they might have gotten a little toasty at one time. Another capacitor right here, filled little electrolytic here, 30 microfarad, 150 volts. Various disc capacitors in here from place to place, a couple of coils, some coils. This section over here, don't just go into that willy-nilly. Everything in here is a landmine, because all these coils in here, especially on the other side, all of that stuff there is tuned by the spacing of the coils and where the stuff is placed. I would be very careful messing around in here. If you ain't got to go in here, don't do it. Unfortunately, I've got to go in here, change this rubber. Let me see if I can get you a better view of what the heck I'm talking about. I have to keep my camera batteries going bad. Let's see if I can get you in here a little bit better. This is what I was talking about. Some of this stuff, and you don't never know unless you read the schematic or the service manual. These coils like that one right there, and that one right there, could be a tuned circuit. Okay, if you alter these in any way, squeeze them, bump them, move them, it could affect this radio highly. Just like that one there. That to me looks like a tune. It may not be, but I ain't going to chance it. I'm not, unless I've got to touch it, I'm not going to. But let's go back to the tuner mounts. If you can see them, that tuner mount is squished right there. It's deteriorated. That needs to be replaced. I've got to replace this one. That's I think there's two more. Yeah, right here. And let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think there's only 3 of them. I was thinking there was more. So I've got to do something with that. I've got to unstring the tuner, and I've already made a schematic of how that thing's strung. Always draw this stuff out. But if you look, you'll see how the tuner, in relation to the front of the chassis, you see the tuning wheel is canted over. It's not even. That's because it's under pressure. Matter of fact, if you look right here, you see how this is out of alignment. That's because this thing is completely, these shocks have got this thing completely out of alignment, and we're going to have to take the string loose and find some rubber bushings to go in there, straighten that up. So I'm going to do that. This is the electrolytic here. I've already checked it. It needs to be replaced. I haven't checked any other components. I can't remember if I checked this one or not. But it will probably get replaced. And I'm going to go in and I'm just going to do some spot checks of some resistors and a few other components, like this capacitor here is on the that's on the AC line. Probably have to put a replace that capacitor with a new XYR capacitor. Let's see what else. Just check these resistors and spot check it and all that. Give it a good look in, but that's kind of what I got going on the bench right now. So it will, I think it'll be a good playing little radio. It's a basic radio. This is the tuning indicator. I'm not sure what that is. I thought it might have been incandescent, but it might not be. I'll have to look at that. And it has another one that looks like it over there. I think it might be neon. So I can see you can almost see, yeah, that could be neon. Nope, I ain't grabbing it by that. Hang on, we're going to go for a ride here. Anyway, chassis cleaned up pretty good. I just sprayed it down with electronic cleaner. That helped, knocked it off with a brush, and used a pressurized air to help clean it. So I'm going to shut this down, and I'm going to go through this thing and look at it, see what I can get away with. And when I have something important, I'll come back. Alright everybody, I've decided I'm going to start doing what I can to get that tuner loosened up so I can get it loose to see what I'm going to need to fix it with. So there's 1, 2, 3 screws. So first thing I'm going to do is de-string it. And I've already made a pictorial how this is done, but I'm just going to kind of make a short video here on my phone, and much reference as you can. If you don't have a pictorial how all this mess is done, you'll be in for a world of hurt. So I'm just going to make a quick little video of it. Like I said, I already have pictures of this, but it never hurts. Okay, that's enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very carefully. Basically, I'm just taking the strain off of this so I can move it. The tuner kind of moves around in it just a little bit. Not sure how it's held in there. I have to excuse my railroad radio over there. It's pretty loud. Alright, here we go. We'll take off the first screw. Then I'm going to take off the second screw. Try to get one of these off so I can get an idea how it's made, but I have an idea that I'm going to go back with some I'm going to go to the auto part house and see, or somewhere, and find me some grommets. Just regular grommets. All I need to do is space this thing. So I'll probably buy grommets for the top, grommets for the bottom. There's 3 grommets, or three mounts on here, 3 mounting points for this chassis, this tuner chassis. So I'll probably just get. Of course, I know that it's going to be held. It's got to be held in a certain place too, so I got to deal with that too. Yummy. Let's see here. Yeah, these things. Focus, dude. That's what's left of the top tuner mounts. They are hard as can be. This thing is already moving around. I'm sitting here. It is moving. Okay, just let's see. Trying to bust all these things out. There we go. Hopefully it didn't damage nothing. There we go. Got one out, ladies and gentlemen. So if I could just get that off temporarily, that'd be fantastic. What is the old saying? In for a penny, in for a pound. That seems to be insulated too. I'm not sure. Oh, I know why. Because it's insulated from the chassis. That's what this is. I just need to take this off temporarily so I can get in there a little better. Get in there and clean all that mess out. Need to pull that out of the way a little bit. This might be easier said than done. Get my old soldering iron going again. Just want to get this completely out of my way. Well, I've done it now. Take the tuner wheel off, get all that mess out of the way. It ain't like it's rocket science. You can't figure it out because you want your tuning knob or your tuning shaft to turn in the same direction. Just put that over there out of the way. Now I ain't gonna worry about it. Now I'm gonna go in and take these indicators loose. Not to break the leads. Alright, got one down. Got two down. Don't think these are polarity dependent. I think these are neons. Just trying to get this out of the way, guys, so I can bear with me. My glasses on, so there ain't no telling what I'm doing. There we go. I think we're clear. Yep, we are clear. Yeah, this plate is definitely insulated from the chassis. Here it is, 2 days after Christmas, and it's 82 degrees here where I live. That is wild. Alright, now let's see if I can zoom you in just a little bit. Move you back over here so you can see what I'm seeing. Bear with me. Widen you out a little bit. There we go. There you go. Now y'all can see what I'm looking at. So basically what I've done is I've taken the mounts off the tuner. And as you can see, the tuner is now free to roam about the cabin. Now I don't know what happened here. This is still crooked. I really don't know what's up with that. Anyway, the shock mount's off here, here, and here. And these things have long since died. They're very hard, compressed, and brittle. They have ceased to be. So what I got to do now is find some kind of grommets to pick this thing up. And this is why I wanted to take off the shield just a few minutes ago. Not this shield, but this front piece right here. So I can get here. I got to scrape all this mess off of it. Clean it up a little bit. I can figure out what it has slots in it, as you may or may not can see right here. That thinking I'm just going to put some regular grommets in it. That's what I'm thinking. I got to get to this back one back here. very hard. No, you can't see a whole lot. There. Now, all we got to do now, one of you guys went out to the hardware store and buy me some grommets. Let me look at my stash, see what I got. Okay guys, didn't really have any luck in my stash. I only have one shock mount, and I believe this come off a CD player. If y'all can get a bunch of old CD players that you're trying to junk out, they have tons of these things in them. They make great shock mounts. Unfortunately, I only have one. Let's see how it fits. Whoa, where'd y'all go? Let's get y'all back over here. Out of frame. I turned over to my right looking at my camera and y'all wasn't there. Anyway, got a shock mount. I just want to get an eyeball, see how it feels. I think this one's too big. Anyway, I couldn't use it if I wanted to. Yep, too big. So that looks like about 1/4 inch in diameter. Let me get my precision measuring apparatus. In other words, my electronic caliper. Had this thing forever. So let's measure it and see what the ID is. Roughly about 0.295 inches. I guess we could call that 0.3, I would say. Yes, 0.3 inches, which that would be 7.62 mils. 0.3 inches. So I get to dig around for that. See what I can find. So guess we can't do nothing else for that right now. So I'll have to make a parts order. Find somebody that sells grommets, radios and stuff. Buy me some for this. No big deal. So let's zoom you out a little bit. Zoom, zoom, zoom. I do know that this this filter cap is bad. I do know that. It is leaky. So I'm going ahead and let's have a look at the bottom. I have plenty of room underneath this thing to just cut it loose. It's actually 3 sections. To cut it loose and just put discrete capacitors in there. Put me a little terminal strip in there. And I'll just leave the can, that way it'll look original. There's no point in ordering a new can and all that stuff. I'm not doing a 100% restoration on this. We're going to get it working, and we'll get it working properly. I'll see if I can find the shock mounts for that. So where do we want to start? This thing needs to be washed. It really does. It's got some funk on it. And I may wind up just go ahead and I'll take this thing and just wash it down real good. I mean, I'll take it and put it under a sink. I mean, the whole thing, transformers and all. I'll put this under the sink, and I'll brush this thing down with soap and water. Spray it down with 409 first, and I'll brush this thing down and get it soaked real good, and give it a good cleaning, and then I'll wash it off with good warm water, and I'll set this thing aside and let it dry for about a week or two. under some lights, under a little bit of forced air and some heat. A radio two-way communication shop I used to work at, we had a box just for that. We would take them old two-way radios that were nasty and all that stuff, and we would spray them with 409 and put them in the ultrasonic cleaner, or just spray them with 409 and wash them out, and then rinse them out, and we put them in that box. That box was probably about about 20 inches by 20 inches, something like that. The big insulated box with a nichrome heater wire in it, and we used a fan to force air through there, and that thing worked great. And I'm thinking about building one of those. Water won't hurt this stuff if you get it dry. And all these IF coils and all this stuff is not going to hurt them. Now, y'all don't have to do that. That's just how I do it. Anyway, let's have a look at some of these components. Let's see if I can get y'all a little bit closer in. I'm going to drop you a little bit. And let's see. You don't want to see me, that's for sure. Uh-oh. Got to get my charger wire out of the way. Oh my gosh, I'm making a disaster here. Let's see. I already see something that I don't like. Get my little Chinese pointer here so I can tell where the heck you guys are. Right there. I can tell you right now, that component, that capacitor is no good. On the light. Oh yeah, it's bad. Of course. Find the light that you guys can see. Right there. Hang on. My cinematography sucks today. I've seen people do this stuff with one hand. I couldn't do it. And this camera's got that. There we go. Anyway, that capacitor right there, you can see the end of it. Yes, there we go. The end of it's coming out. It's corroded. You see that black coming out? That capacitor, definitely bad. I'm not even going to worry about testing it. So, I don't think I'm going to bore you guys. I'm going to go in here and do some spot checks of resistors and stuff like that. And I'm going to go ahead and get a capacitor count, anything that I suspect. And I'm going to go ahead and make me a parts list. I'm going to check the resistors in here and a few other little things. And go ahead and make a parts order. Find me some grommets, order some grommets. And see if we can, and when I get all that done, I'm going to probably just wash this radio down. And just go wide here. Oh my gosh, I am in close-up mode. Scaring me. Kind of a quick run through this old radio. I think this is a 1966 model, and some of what I've read about it is it was a transition radio, one of the last of its kind. It's really, the design is really good, but for what it is, you know, in a wooden cabinet and all this, what I understand is they didn't make many more of this type because everything was transitioning over to solid state. This is one of the last tube type sets made, and these were imported from Japan over here. And it's kind of an oddball, but I like oddballs. I like oddball stuff. So I'm going to clean this radio. I'm fixing to get a capacitor count, a resistor count, all this stuff that I'm going to need to get this thing restored. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take my 409 and spray it down with 409 and scrub it with a brush and take it to the sink, rinse it off with warm water, and take it back out to my shop, blow it out with air, and then I'm going to set me a light up, a little heat lamp, or not a heat lamp, a 100-watt light, you know, suspend it over it a little bit, so give it a little bit of heat. And I'm going to take a little fan that I've got, a little 12 volt fan, and I'm going to put it on there and just blow air through it, and come back in about a week and be good. Might run the heat gun on top of it to help, you know, dry out some of those cans. But that's where I'm at. So stay tuned for part 2. Matter of fact, I may have one more segment before part 2 on this one here, just to compare, you know, the parts list of stuff I ordered. It's got a bunch of them little nylon caps in here. If I can pick this up without just dropping it, that'd be something that I would do. Let's get you back over here. Right there, you see it. See them little silver, little nylon? We used to call them nylon caps in my TV days. And in the horizontal hole, in the horizontal oscillator circuit of a lot of televisions, they had that little cap, type cap, across the horizontal frequency coil, or the horizontal hold coil. And those caps would go bad, and it would cause the thing to lose horizontal lock. And we changed them every time we seen a little silver one. We changed them. So I'm going to check those too. I'm going to just spot check a couple of those and see how they are. Anyway, I'll do that and get back. Pardon my arm. Alright, bye. Okay, I just got through doing some static checks of, you know, spot checks of the resistors, capacitors, and the resistors, I really didn't find anything bad. So at this point, I'm not going to order any resistors. Don't, you know, if I run into a bad one, I'll change them because I have resistors in stock. Capacitors, I'm going to order capacitors, but I did find on, I'm going to call it the detector board, a couple of these little dudes. Show them. I'm 99% certain at the time that they were capacitors. Of course, they're marked 2G503. Get to work on many Japanese sets here lately. But I knew it had to be a capacitor, so took my trusty dusty little Chinesium made capacitor tester and fixed the leads. Well, either that cap is open or my little tester has bit the bullet again. Tested it, retested the capacitor on my old standby heat kit, IM10. It said it was open too. Absolutely open. Okay. It's a 0.0. I looked it up. I could not find a schematic online. However, on the bottom of the case was this schematic that I saved by putting Scotch tape on it. I was able to save that. I'm glad I did. So I couldn't find a schematic online. So what I did is I took a picture of this, a high-resolution picture of it, sent it to my computer, and I was able to look at it under a high, you know, really good definition, and I was able. The schematic came out perfect, and turned out it was a 0.05. It was actually the coupling caps between this. Little phase splitter tube here, which is a 17EW8. I guess it's kind of like a 12AX7. You know, as far as operation function. Anyway, that was the plate coupling capacitors, or the grid coupling capacitors, if you will, to the outputs, and they were both open. I did not check those little silver capacitors. I feel like they'll be either good or bad. I'll just like the resistors if I need to change one, but I'm changing the main components and replacing those rotted out grommets. So that's where I'm at now. We'll get the parts ordered and see if I can find some grommets and order some of those. And I'm going to wash this chassis down, at least I think I am. It needs washing. I may just, that number on the back, I got to protect it. Trying to figure out how I can do that. I might put a little rubber cement on it to let it dry, that way it'll protect it. Anyway, that's where I'm at on this little radio. By the way, while I was researching for the schematic, it was made in 1964. Matter of fact, I think Curtis Mathis sold some under their name, but still kind of it sold for, it sold, I think Radio Shack sold these things way back in the day, and it was $55 or $54.95 in the Radio Shack catalog, according to what I read online. So that was before my time. I mean, I was 3 years old when this radio came out. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Order some parts, clean the chassis and get it pretty, and find some grommets, and just want to get this dude working. I'm eager to see it. Hopefully I won't mess nothing up and I won't have to tune it. I'm lucky. Anyway, see you guys later. Good morning. Day 2 of the Delmonico receiver restoration. I went to Harbor Freight, or Harbor Freight as I lovingly like to call it, and bought grommet assortment. This should get us out of a bind, because honestly I looked online trying to find grommets and it just information overload. Now I have a bunch of sources, you know, antique radio sources and stuff that I use, but quite frankly I get bored and I have lack of patience looking for such things. So I guess the first step today is going to be see what we can do putting those grommets into this tuner assembly. Here, here, and here. I have not cleaned this radio yet. I'm still across the fence on whether I want to do this or not. You know, it's kind of a choice. Part of me says I want to, the other part says I don't want to. Anyway, I bought various assortments of grommets that's in this package here, and I'm just going to find something that looks like it'll fit in here. The hole inside diameter of the mounting hole is 3.3 inches. I forgot what that was in metric, but oh well. I'm not really a metric kind of guy. I don't know what the original thickness was of these things. Frankly, these grommets seem to be working really good. Back one here. Keep you guys in frame. So you come up with a camera that would do that. Okay, see if we can get in there somehow or another. I may have to use a pair of needle nosed. Let's see if I can get that in there with it. Holding my mouth a certain way. I think I'll do it tire style. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on this 10.7 megahertz can. There, got it. Yeah, hope you. Honestly, I don't know what the original height was, but judging from how far that I could pick this up, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to push the issue. So, $5 is grommet assortment, 180 pieces. See if you can see that right there. 40 1/4, 40 5/16, 38, blah blah blah. Anyway, got this at Harbor Freight. There's Harbor Freight stores or Harbor Freight stores everywhere. So now that we got that, let's come back over here a minute. This is the original grommets. Need to get these little washers off. So let me go ahead and get the hardware for that. Get that taken care of. There's 3 in here. Why do I have more than that? 1, 2, 3. Am I missing something here? Am I cuckoo this morning? Yeah. 1, 2. Where's the third one? There's the third one. I ain't been up super long. It is definitely embedded in this old rotten rubber. Knock all this stuff off. Get my workbench dirty. But we're getting it. I use these carpet mats, these little samples. You know, these little carpets here are really good for working on stuff. The drawback is to it, sometimes it gets embedded with solder, pieces of solder, little bits of wire. So if you're working on something like a PC board or something, I don't recommend doing this. I would not use this if you're working on a circuit board that's powered up, or a computer motherboard or anything like that that's powered up. If you're going to do something like that on your workbench, I would just recommend either an anti-static mat, or just take this off, move it away, out of the way, so you'll have, where am I at here? Solid tile. That way you don't have to worry about anything shorting out. Alright, got that done. One more. Do this without poking a hole in me. Oh, that now come out clean. Awesome. Pretty good so far. I get to a stopping point, I'll just take this, throw this away. Alright, changing grommets out pretty much. Of course, I know there's going to be a little of a centering issue. Honestly, I would like to have some little ferrules that go inside the grommets, and that will stabilize this thing, but I'm just going to see how it feels when I tighten these down a little bit. First, we'll see how this feels first, and if I have to find I may have to find me some tubing and cut me some tubing just so we could, you know, space the grommet's got a little bit of slack inside where the screw goes through it, so I may have to find a little some little offset, not offset, some little standoff sleeves that will fill in that space and keep these things centered. But I'm just going to see how it works right now. So still, we may have an alignment issue, but I'm just wanting to see how this works. Just tighten it down. I'm going to tighten it down a whole lot. And I may go back in here underneath where these grommets are, because these grommets are probably not the same thickness, and just put a spacer on there. It feels pretty good. Really all this does, I think, I've never understood why I think it'll work just fine. Alright, that's done. My components are somewhere between where I live and Plano, Texas, which is where Mouser is. The shipping, usually you order stuff in the afternoon, you get it the next day here. Unfortunately, this says it's supposed to be delivered by 9 o'clock this evening. However, it says processed for for shipping. Mouser used to be you order something, you get it the next day here. But since COVID-19 hit and all the wildness and hilarity that ensued, and all the silly stuff that our politicians are trying to ram down our throats or up our rear end or whatever, things just hadn't been the same. Lucky to even get anything nowadays. It's just insane. But anyway, I digress. Since I don't have no parts, I think my time will be best spent cleaning this radio. So I think we will transfer to my cleaning station. I'll show you how I do this, and we'll give this thing a good cleaning. And matter of fact, I'm going to pull all the tubes, because I don't want these tubes messed up. So I'm going to pull all these tubes out of this, label where they go. I'm going to mark them as to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or whatever the V number is. I'll figure that out, but when I come back, we'll be washing this radio, and let's see what kind of a difference it makes. And I'll show you my procedure for cleaning these things. Alright, so see you shortly. Bye. Okay, turns out I didn't really have to go in here and write any of this down. This is the schematic, or the print, or this is what I scanned off the bottom of the card. I took a picture with my cell phone, a high resolution picture with the schematic and tube placement diagram that was on the bottom of the cabinet, and emailed it to myself, the highest resolution I could get, and it actually did really good. So I have all the information that I need on there. It's got a little bit of shadowing or a little bit of reflection there, but doesn't affect nothing. 99% effective. But there's the tube placement diagram right there. So I didn't bother marking any tubes or anything like that. And all the tubes are right here. And I just wanted to show you, look what was underneath, if you can see that. Some funk underneath that tube. Yeah. These are both of the output tubes. They're 50C5s, if I remember right. Let me see. Yeah, 50C5s. If you can see that, I don't know if you can or not. Two 50C5s. Look here, you guys. And a Hitachi 12AX7. But that's worth about $100. And then let's see here. Not really hip on these Japanese tube numbers. There's like a 17BW6 or an 8. No, it's an 8. I'm sorry. Another one. See it. Then we got the Iaf Amplifier Tubes. These should be a row of, that's a 12. Hitachi 12BA6. 12BA6. There's two of them so far. 12BA6 Hitachi, another Hitachi. That would be a 12BE6, and let's see, 12BA6 if you can read that. And finally the tuner tube, which is the mixer oscillator, I'm sure, like 17EW8. And as you've probably figured out, every one of these tubes are Hitachis, which means every one of these tubes are more than likely original. How cool is that? Now, but I wanted to show you also, let me get my Sean King pointers here, the tube sockets for the 50C5s. I had to pry that tube out. It was stuck to the socket. This one wasn't as bad, but this 12AX7 right here, it was stuck to the socket. There is something, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it was kind of funky. But anyway, I'm about to look at the crud on this radio. Look at that. I'm not sure what this was. It almost acts like it was in a kitchen. In somebody's kitchen. It's grease. I'm pretty sure that's grease. But overall, this is what I've got to work with. I pulled all the tube socket, all the tubes out of the radio, and pulled all the socket tube retainer clips, which are these. I'll clean them up in a different solution. Something else I wanted to point out. Remember, I was telling you on the previous video about the coils underneath that don't touch their settings. You know how they're, don't touch them at all. But right here, these are more trimmer caps right here. These are adjustments too. Being there's no tuning adjustments procedures, you do not want to mess with these. Do not touch those. I'm touching them, but honestly, keep away. You move this, it's going to affect how this radio behaves, and you may never ever get it tuned right in the first place. So if you want to tackle one like this, and don't go in there willy-nilly and just start messing with crap, don't do it. You'll save yourself grief. This is one of those nylon caps. I don't know what they're called. Somebody knows, y'all can leave in the comments. But that was a 503. That's actually what is that? 50,000 picofarad, which is a 0.05 microfarad. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Think of it like this. The 3 would be the decimal place. So just think of it. Too much math on me anyway. Anyway, this is the 0.05 according to the schematic. So this is one of them. This here is from the 12AX7 plate, which is, I remember right. Let me see here. Oh, it's morning for me. I have to remember where this was. Yeah, right here. If you can see that with that glare. Separation control. So that's the output of the stereo detector. So it's a 0.05 here, 0.05 there. That sends your left and right signal up to your function switch, and then the output of that feeds the 12AX7, which is here, the Iaf amplifier, and then that sends it to these two tubes here. So those two little nylon caps, I'm going to call it, are these two guys right here, if you can see them. Let me just get a little closer. Yeah, that one right there, and that one right there. Those were almost completely open. Anyway, I'm going to go clean this radio. Back in a little while. Alright everyone, we are in the Hunter house. Take my glasses off. Getting ready to clean this radio. Enough of my ugly face. zoom you in just a skosh. Basically, I'm going to, I haven't decided, being I'm 90% sure this was in somebody's kitchen. So I'm going to use Greased Lightning Super Strength Cleaner and Degreaser. Now, I'm going to say something. This is how I'm going to do this piece of equipment. This is mine. It's no big loss to me if I tear it up. But I used to work in the two-way communication field years ago, and when we would have a transmitter, you know, a radio, the radios are really big. These were the 100-watt commercial FM radios that the police or fire departments and people like that would use. But sometimes these units would get nasty, or something would happen to them and they were just super nasty, and stuff don't like being nasty. So as I talked in the last video, we would actually take these radios and we would take, I don't have any, but we would use 409. We would spray these radios down with 409. I'm talking about coat the whole thing 409. Just take it out the sidewalk or outside somewhere on the table outside. Spray these things down with 409 and take a little candle hair brush and scrub everywhere, and we would let that soak for a little while. Then we would rinse it off, do it again, and then take compressed air and blow it all out. And then we would put it in this wooden box oven. It was about, I'm going to say probably about 2 foot wide, about this tall, 2 foot wide, same, and had insulation inside it. And in the back side was a little cavity, but we had this little heating element come out of, I don't really antique stuff, but it was a coil of nichrome wire around a ceramic core. And you've seen them in these old-fashioned heaters where it had the little aluminum parabolic back mirror, and the element would screw in, heating element would screw in there, and that would reflect heat. It's antique stuff, man. But I've got, but that's what we used. It was a socket laying on the bottom, sitting on the, screwed to the bottom of the cabinet, and we would have that hooked to a timer. And so we had 2 switches. 2 or 3 switches. We had a light inside the cabinet so you could see what we're doing. And then in the cavity there, the air cavity, there would be the heating element, and then on one side of the, between the heating cabinet, I'm going to call it the heat section of the cabinet, and the section where you're going to put your stuff, there was 2 fans, and they were wired in series, so they would run at half speed. Anyway, you would turn the heating element on and the fan, and it would heat the air, and the air would circulate in the cavity, and it would actually, of course you had your radio, whatever you had, supported up on blocks or whatever, so it could have 100% airflow. And we usually let that run for about a day. And those radios, we had never had no problem. And those radios had tuned circuits and everything just like this radio. I don't have a heating cabinet yet. I intend to make one, because I have everything it takes. I just hadn't had time to do it. Anyway, I tend to talk a lot in these videos. But anyway, let's get to cleaning the radio. I'm going to spray it down with a degreaser first, and let it soak a minute, and then I'm going to scrub it with this brush and just rinse it off with warm water, and then I'll do it again a couple more times, and I'll change probably, depending on how it comes out, I'll either put simple green on it, or I don't have much. This ZEP 505. I don't have any 409, which I wish I did. Anyway, here goes. Let's get you back down here. I'm going to probably put you guys, turn you all over the place here. See what that looks like. Yeah, we'll go with that. Alright, here's the radio. There's the underside. The underside of the chassis is fine. Nothing wrong with that. I'm fine with that. So, let's go with the degreaser. Yes, I'm spraying everything. In for a penny, in for a pound, as they say. I do believe this thing's subjected to a kitchen. Let it sit. Matter of fact, I'm going to hopefully balance this to where it doesn't fall. I want this to not run off. I want this to soak. Now that's pretty strong stuff. Get me a utility towel here. I just want to let it soak for just a minute. I'm just going to kind of rub this around. I just want to see what happens. Yes, I sprayed transformers and everything, but I don't intend on power this thing up for a while. We'll cook it real good. I'll come up the way I always do. Just gonna give her a scrub. That all forms loose. We got to be kind of careful with that. Giving her scrubs, kind of like washing your kids when they're little. Scrub behind them ears and all this other mess. And I don't think we're really looking for perfection here. But, oh, that was good. That was fun, wasn't it, guys? Let's see. Clean around these tuning caps, all these little variables here. Got to be careful of that. Like I said a few minutes ago, don't really want to disturb that. Being careful not to tear up nothing, because I tend to tear up stuff if they get too big a hurry. I'm not too worried about the front. Can y'all see? Okay. Go back to this right here. I really don't know. Get my scouring pad. Scour this a little bit, see what happens. And I'm not sure what that is. It's just kind of, let's give it a rinse. In fact, I'm going to give it another shot. Let my water warm up. Nothing else, the circuit board's going to be clean. This stuff's a little tougher than I thought it was. I don't want to use steel wool on this. The last thing you want to do is a circuit like this is use steel wool on it. Let's get my sprayer going here. Give it a good rinse. Plan on remodeling this kitchen sometime in 2022. I hope. I don't know if we'll be successful, but one thing that's going to get changed out is this sink and this sprayer. The sprayer was king of the house. Just a piece of junk. But we didn't want to spend a couple of $100 on a sprayer and turn right around and replace it again. So now that we got it clean, zoom you in a little bit to see how this works. Let's go rogue. Let's see, zoom out. See this? It's sticky. Like right there. It does come off, but you gotta work at it. So roach egg definitely was in a kitchen. So I guess not exactly the results I was looking for, but it is clean. I got to think about what I want to do next. May have to resort to harsher methods. So let me think about this and I'll bring you back. Alright, we're going rogue. Back out at the workshop. We just got through washing this radio. And we're going to take it over here. If we can get some air going. Gonna blow some of the air out of it. Water out of it, should I say. Another project one day. Alright, hold your ears. Tell you what, you probably don't want to hear that. Okay, sorry about the noise. Sure, that's probably horrendous on your ears. But here's the chassis. Still a little damp. I blew it off with the air hose, as you are keenly aware. I was thinking about taking these two transformers off, output transformers off, and so I can get down here and scrub this chassis. But now I notice that these things are riveted in, and I'm not really wanting to cut these rivets on each. Now, George, and they made these. They made them to last, right? Everything else is screwed in, except for the output transformers. For some reason, they decided to rivet them in. Who knows? Anyway, it comes a decision. Just how much do you want to clean this radio? I think I'm going to stop here. I don't think I'm going to do this and clean this anymore. Yes, I could go a little bit deeper. I could get really gung-ho into it. But that is some baked on. That is some tough stuff. I would have to scrub and scrub. And really, for what this radio is, I don't think I'm going to do that. So at this point, I'm going to fashion up a heat lamp device and fashion me up a little fan of some sort, and just let this thing cool, dry out for a while. It actually cleaned up a lot better, at least it looks like it right now. What I did here on this right here is I actually coated it with contact cement, the rubber cement, yesterday, and let it set up. That way it didn't wash off and get damaged. And It should probably preserve it. At least that's my guess. It's actually, the radio is pretty clean. It's just that right there that just really bugs me, and I'm going to have to think about that. So ain't no point in bugging you about that right there. I'm going to play with this a little bit more and see if I can see how far I really want to go with this. If I want to really clean that or not. The chassis does look nice underneath it. I don't want to use something that's caustic, but if that is grease, which I believe it is, it's going to take scrubbing, and I don't want to scrub so much that I'll damage the chassis underneath. So it's really, how far do you want to go with this? So let me think on this a while, and I'll bring you back. Well, okay, back once again. I went to Harbor Freight yesterday and bought those grommets. Also bought me some of these guys. Not really intended to use these guys. What I'm about to use them for. But this is what I got left of my regular brushes. Sometimes I wear stuff. Anyway, I'm going to try this little dude, and I'm going to just kind of lightly, very carefully go around here and see if I can clean some of this mess off, because I'm a glutton for punishment. So let's get with it. See what we can tear up. Just going to kind of take it easy here. It's cleaned up pretty good, but what I was afraid of is I'm taking the coating off. Watch the transformer. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. If I can get you, and you see that? I've taken the coating off that chassis. So now what do? I was really afraid of that. I really should have used a chemical method. I'll go a little bit. A light touch. I mean, really just the weight of the Dremel itself, not pressing down. Be careful, this stuff is really thin in some places. Just kind of letting the weight of the Dremel itself, and I'm trying to be super careful around this transformer. Don't really like getting metal. I don't know, guys. I had bought a popcorn machine from somebody years ago, and the kettle was just caked in grease, and there's not a material under the sun made that will eat that grease. You have to, it's all also elbow grease. You got to just work at it. Yes, there's a will, there's a way, as they say. And this will take me forever to do, and I don't intend to video this whole thing. So that would be boring. So I guess I'm just going to fiddle fart around with this for a while, not bore you guys to death, because I know it's going to take me hours to just edit this video and not make it so boring. But basically it's kitchen grease that I've got to get off this thing, and so it's going to take me a while. So I'll bring you back when I got something worthwhile to report. Okay, this is kind of an abstract lesson in futility. You trade off one thing for another. I just used the Dremel with this little brass mushroom bit right here, this little mushroom brush. Kind of mixed results. As you can see, these transformers are riveted in. Didn't really want to take those out. Very lightly used the brush on this chassis. I got a lot of the grease off. However, as you can probably see here, so did the plating of the chassis. I can't say it looks any better. I couldn't get into here. This is what it looked like before, if you can see that, compared to this. Honestly, just how far do you want to go with something like this? I mean, it's still over here. I mean, really, how far do you want to go with this? As it stands now, if I go any further, I'm stopping here. I think I'm going to give it one more spraying, see if I can clean some of this off, make it look maybe a little better. But honestly, I'm really hesitant to go any further with this. I think, like I say, I'm going to give it one more cleaning, another blowing out with dirt. I think I'm going to try to get in here and get some of this right here, a little caked on grease there. I'm going to try to get something, get that off. But grease is kitchen grease. One of the hardest things you'll ever get off. If you ever restored your kitchen and you've got cabinets that's got kitchen grease on it near the stove, basically you have to get spick and span and scrub the hell out of it. But I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit and get that. The rest of the circuit board looks like it's cleaned up fine. It's just right here. Seems to be really intense. So I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to give this another little cleaning, some more degreaser, see what happens. So I'll bring you back. Okay, it's just a minute's passed. I used my secret weapon, Simple Green. I have coated this chassis in Simple Green. This stuff is really strong, but hang on a second. I'm a broadcast engineer by trade these days, and I had a old Harris FM 20 20 kilowatt Harris that was probably made in the early 80s. But they used these big tubes in them, like capable of 20,000 watts. Really big tubes, about big around as a basketball. But they have all tubes plug into a socket. Well, these sockets use what they call finger stocks, which is silver-plated little fingers that goes around the base of the tube. It's instead of pins like a regular tube, it has rings around the ceramic part of the tube. So the finger stocks is what connects to those elements, and those are insulated by ceramic insulators, and it's a really cool thing. It's been around forever. But this transmitter has never been a thorough cleaning. I had some intermittent issues with it that just blowing, tripping breakers and stuff, and just really crazy. So it just needed to be cleaned. It was nasty. I mean, you look down at it, just funk everywhere. So anyway, I pulled the tube socket out of one of those things, and that's not for the faint-hearted. Pulled the tube socket out, laid it down on a workbench. I mean, it was funky. I used this right here. I soaked it in that. Then of course, I didn't have nothing to rinse it off with or anything like that. So I just let it soak, and I went to the hardware store about 5 miles away and got me a sprayer, water, cleaner, and stuff like that. Anyway, when I came back, looked on the table that I had, all that crud had melted off that thing, and that thing was just like brand new. I could not believe it. I didn't know that simple green would do that. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just letting that simple green soak in, and I'm going to see if it will eat that grease away and maybe make this thing look a little more presentable, and hopefully not eat everything in this thing apart. So anyway, yet another little mini update on this. Bring you back when I got something worthwhile. Alright, I guess this will be the final update for a while on this. Let's get this thing out in the sun so we can see what's going on. The simple green, maybe too much light. Let's get this over here. Yeah, it's too much light. Sorry about that. Let's get it over here. Oh, that's a lot better light. Simple green really did good. It cleaned a lot of this funk off. I think it looks a lot better than it did. Of course, the board is still a little damp. It's going to look pretty. Right here, still a little messy. Get that in there. It's still a little funky here and there. But honestly, I think I've pushed my luck about as far as I want to push it, because it's going to take a long time for this thing to dry out. These two transformers really should not have been involved in this cleaning, which means I'm going to have to bake the crap out of them now. Bake the moisture if you want to. But all in all, the simple green really cleaned this minor little stuff up on this chassis really good. I used compressed air to clean all the tube sockets, blow all that out. So it couldn't have hurt it too bad, but we're just going to have to dry it, and it's going to take a while for this to dry. So we won't be doing any more restoration on this for a while until it gets completely dried out. And by that time, I'll have all the parts and everything, and I'll go ahead and put the parts in and make sure all that's pretty, and then we'll test it for functionality, and hopefully this dude will work. We got the grommets in the chassis tuner assembly. I think that's going to work fine. We'll see once I get everything together. So anyway, that's that. So stay tuned for another update. Bye. Okay, update number 9,565. I lost count. The radio, the Delmonico radio, it's actually turned out rather good. I'm just gonna pick it up and show you guys. Looks like Battlestar Galactica going over. cleaned up really good. Kind of had a happy accident. The last little video clip there, I think one of the two of the ones before this, I'd actually put a light over it. I had a magnifying glass with a I think it was 75 watt light in it, 75 watt incandescent bulb in it, and so I just put that on the top above the transformers and lay some cloth over it. Really smart. But and it did real good. I came back from doing something and looked, and I noticed something had changed. It had gotten warm in there because heat couldn't go nowhere, and the base of the light softened up. Kind of, it didn't melt, but it softened up to a point where it fell down on top of these transformers. Anyway, the chassis got hot, and I was just playing around. I just went down there with my finger where all that stain was around those transformers, and I just wiped my finger on it. It came off. Wow. Didn't think about it, but the heat softened up that grease. While it was hot, I went ahead and took a small fine rag and wiped all that grease off of almost everywhere I could get to. Boy, it didn't make a difference on this. I never thought about heat. But it's still not dry, but it's good enough to point I can put the front back on it and clean the tubes up, put them on, put the tube retainers back on. Go ahead and get the dial cord on, and I'm going to see if my grommets worked, and I'm just going to let it set then in my shop here. Just relative, I'm going to put a fan on it because the humidity in here looks like 60% humidity, 50 or 60. I don't have my glasses on, but my weather station says 50 or 60 internal. So I'm going to let it sit in here with a fan on it when I get done putting everything back together on this. And I think the parts should be in here shortly. I looked on the Mouser website, and they're out for delivery. So I'm going to put the dial cord and everything back on, see how the tuner is now that I put the new shock mounts on it. And if that's good, then I'm going to proceed and put this thing back together, and parts come in, I'm going to go ahead and change those out, and it'll be ready. When it dries up, we'll be ready to fire it up and see if it works. So I don't think you want to watch me put a dial cord on, so I'll bring you back when I get that done. Alright, I have the tuner. Let's go gorilla style camera. I think I've got the tuner restrung. It is now straight, I believe. I think it is. It's a lot better than it was. The jury is still out. It looks like it might be pulling a little bit. It may be a little bit too much tension on there. I don't know. Just play with it a little bit. It is super tight. Almost played like a banjo, but it is in there. It does work. Had a little issue with rubbing right there. Let's see if we can see it there. See the let me get my John King pointer here. Right there, rubbing against this screw as it came by. These two intersected. As you can see, when it gets over there, you can feel a little bump when it goes by. It was a little hook on the thing. Was the little loop of the spring right here. If you can, I don't think you can see it, but there was a loop right there. It was actually, you know, where the end of the spring was come through there. It was like a hook, and it was grabbing that screw right there. Not really a good thing. I could tell you can see this is irregular right here. Something been going on with that. But I think it's good right now. I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye on it. It's good for right now. So the video I made a little while yesterday of the string and how it was all come in pretty good. But anyway, this is where I'm at now. This is one of the output tubes. That is what's on the bottom of that output tube. Genuine funky grease. Most of these tubes are good as far as the junk on the bottom. These 250C5s though, this was come off over here. This is where all the grease was entrapped a while ago. But that's where these two came from, right there. And then this 12AX7 right here. It was here. So I'm going to clean these tubes off, try not to wipe off the name on them. Get all that done, get all the tube shield, the tube holders back in, and get all this populated. And I figured out something, which is amazing. Let me put these tubes back in. But I figured out why this coil, this IF transformer, was leaning right there. You see how they made this? This transformer had no room with that plates for these plates to move. They did that crap on purpose to give it room. I think this might have been one that they might have made in Japan, and maybe at a higher frequency. I don't know. And it was built different, because if you look right in there, there's another slot. It's the same kind of slot that this capacitor fits in, like on the back. You can't see it here, I don't think. Way back there in the back. So I bet you for the overseas brand, this capacitor wasn't that long, and you could get by with this being straight. But when they went to the American version of this, yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. If the tuning gang was shorter, and so this thing fit perfect. So when it comes to the American version, instead of redesigning the whole radio, they just come over here and probably put a shim or something underneath this, I don't know, and push this transformer to the side. Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to clean the tubes up and put them in there, and go from there. Bye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do, this is the 50C5 tube. It's got the grease all on the base of it, and since I accidentally found out when that my heat lamp got too close to this transformer, all that got hot and melted. So I'm going to do the same thing for the base of this, because I've already used some cleaner and it didn't even touch it. So I'm going to get me a brush, and I'm going to heat this up with a heat gun. I've got paper towel wrapped around it to try to keep anything from going down. So I'm going to get me an acid brush, heat gun. We're going to heat this up. I think I'm recording. Yep, melting. Wow. I wish you could have seen that. I hope you did. I'm going to jiggle you guys around a little bit, so hold on to your bellies. I got to figure out how to turn off this anti-motion mode crap. This stupid camera. Every time I get y'all where I want y'all, it moves. I think that's it. Nope, of course not. There. I guess I'll just have to move back a little bit. Alright. A little bit of heat on there. That cleaned up really good. Yep. Now I'll get another acid brush. Put just a little bit lighter fluid on there. I'm just going to see. I'm going to see if I can blow us up. I wanted the tube to cool down. Before I did this, I wouldn't want to crack the base of it. Lighter fluid's a solvent. Made of naphtha, actually. I used to use it when I collected 35mm motion picture film. You'd buy some film from people and it would be, they'd have old tape on it, been on it for 30 years. That feels really good. Now we'll spread a little bit, spread with a little bit of contact cleaner. I think that's good, y'all, fellers, guys, whatever y'all want to be called. Let's see, where are y'all? I've got y'all so. There we go. Look at that. This was before. Actually, this one was. That's the before. Look at all that crud. This is the after. What a difference, right? And I think that's going to be good. Now I'm going to clean the tube sockets next. This tube's next. So this is the second 50C5 right here. So I'm going to wrap it up in its protective cover. Down here about like that. Wrap it up like a corn dog. Like a pig in a blanket, should I say. Oh, this thing's filthy. So I'm going to get you guys zoom back in. I'll move y'all around a little bit so y'all can see it. I'm about to apply the heat. Oh yeah, y'all are framed in good. So, heat gun. Happens when I apply heat to it. See it's liquefy. That is amazing. It was an accident that I found that one. It never occurred to me to use heat. I could have used a heat gun to clean that old popcorn machine years ago. Yeah. Try not to heat the tube up too much because I'm going to put something cold on it and I don't want to stress the tube. And now I'm putting naphtha back on it. So any residue, this should clean it off. Now I'm going to take some Crc Contact Cleaner. Go back in there, clean it up. Where y'all at? It's wide, go in a little bit. And a little wider there. That's clean. Clean as a baby's bottom. Trying to preserve the markings on the tube. Trying not to use any liquids or just. I haven't found a way to do that yet. If anybody knows, they can leave me a comment. Anyway, there's a 50C5. Go back to this other one now that it's cooled off. Yeah, unfortunately there's no markings on it. That's the only problem. So, we'll put these tubes back in the cleanup. This tube here, the 12AX7, it's next. So I'm going to attempt to clean the base of it for it. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm going to clean it. I'm going to clean the envelope, or the tube envelope. I'm just going to give it just a squish. Just a squish of cleaner. Not sure how I want to go about this. Yeah, I'm going to clamp it a little bit further down so I can get most of that off the base. Definitely was in somebody's kitchen for a long time, close to the stove. Alright, here we go. Let's zoom y'all in again. See that funk on there? This one's not too bad. It's got a little bit on there. I'm just using the acid brush to break it down, move it out. Get it away from the base. Let it cool down for a second before I. Still sticky. This should clean it. Not cracking it, I hope. Yeah, it's pretty clean. Put some Crc Contact Cleaner on there as a final treatment. Take this tube out, widen y'all guys out a little bit more. Alright, unveil the tube. Looks a lot better. I've got just a skosh Windex on this rag. I mean, very small amount. Oh yeah. There's a 12AX7 with a clean base. Looks like the rest of these tubes are probably okay. I don't need the heat gun anymore. I don't know about the tube sockets yet, but I'm just going to go underneath them. And I'm going to go underneath the tube sockets and just tighten them up, tighten the connections up with a pair of pliers, and all you're basically doing is the tube, pin of the tube goes into a couple of little metal tabs that's shaped like this. So the tube goes this way, and it just tabs spread out. So all I'm going to do is go underneath and tighten those tabs up, and that should give a positive. That should take care of any issues, barring any major corrosion or something like that. Whoa, come back here. Anyway, that's next. That's going to be boring, so I won't bore you with it. Bring you back. Okay, here we are, underside of the radio. Sorry about that. Here's the 3 sockets. Honestly, I'm not real crazy about how they look, but I had a blob of solder on it. Let me find my glasses. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I couldn't see too good close up. But anyway, these pins right here, you can see them right here. I'm going to go in and tighten each one of those up. This is going to little 12AX7. It's got a lot going on there, but I'll use a pair of pliers. If that doesn't work, I might use a screwdriver blade. But I'm going to use my left hand to do this. See if I can get you some light. You don't have to go gung-ho on this. Just squeeze them lightly. Like this one here, you see the gap is probably about 1 millimeter wide, maybe. I'm just going to go in there and squeeze it gently. And I'm going to go in and squeeze each one of them like that. And I won't bore you with all the gory details, but I'm going to do each one like it. That way I'm fairly certain I don't have to worry about poor contacts on the tubes. In fact, it might be too tight. You can get them too tight. I'm going to do these other 2 tubes like that. Just no point in you watching me do that. And then I'm going to turn the set back over. Well, let's see, I got some more down here, so I forgot about them. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 more to do, not counting. So I got 6 in all to do. So I'm going to do those, and then I'll turn it over, and I'll put the tubes in and all that, and that'll be it for that part of the project. Ain't got much left on this recording. Well, okay, got all the tube sockets tightened up. The only ones that I don't like is where all this grease was, and it's still, like, this is one of the 50C5 sockets, and I don't think the camera is doing it any justice, but they look really horrible. 7-pin sockets, and I may wind up having to replace them. It depends on how they operate. But anyway, they're done. I forgot about the safety cap here. Just felt this little capacitor right here. Not sure how it is. I'm going to check it. I forgot to order it. I may have one in stock. I don't remember. But anyway, my parts should be in here for long. I'm going to go ahead and get them and change them all out. The filter capacitor right here, 3-section filter cap. This capacitor here. That black one here. This electrolytic there. I think there's another electrolytic on that side. And then those 2 .05s, which is actually .047s. And I'm going to clean all the controls and the switches and all that, because they did have water in them. But I'm not going to power it up right now. I'm just going to change the components that needs to be changed, and then I'm just going to let it sit here for a while. a few days and let it just dry, and I'm gonna hook me a little fan up to it to get some air circulating on it. Anyway, that's that. See y'all on the flip side. Alright, I think this is the last update until I get the parts in and I get it dried out and I get it ready to test. But you know, I wasn't, remember a few clips back I said that I wasn't going to really get too deep into this thing. Well, I did. I couldn't stand it. But I think it's worth the effort, guys. I really do. I want to show you how this thing turned out. So let me turn you around. So get your Dramamine ready. Alright. Now, I have not cleaned the controls yet, but of course I'm using the wrong hand. But the dial works, or did work. I think it's exactly how it was. I noticed where the marks were on the tuning gang shaft. Well, and I need to lubricate the tuning gang too. That won't be a problem. But it goes back and forth like it should. So I'm good there. I need to clean the dial off, get it a little bit brighter. But that's good. I went in and where's my Sean King pointer at? These are the, this is the stereo indicator, I think, or the tuning indicator right here. I went ahead and resoldered that. And I think this is the pilot or tuning, I don't remember which. Resoldered that back together. All the tubes are in. But everything fit nice. And it doesn't look half bad. It's all shiny now. It may have a little bit more crud on it, maybe down in the cracks here, but honestly, it turned out rather nice considering. Chassis does have some stains on it, but everything is clean and shiny. I'm not afraid to touch it anymore. This transformer here, this coil, should I say, had a little wrap around it right here, and it was halfway on, halfway off. I don't know what it was, but this one here appeared to have something on it at one time. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it had just a little bit of stuff on it there, and I figured this one had whatever this one has, but I can't see what function this would have done. Then again, that might affect the tuning of this thing. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, everything is back together on this thing. Just waiting on parts, and like I said, I'm going to wait on the parts to get in, and I'll go ahead and change the caps and all the parts. And then I'm just going to set it aside and put a fan on it and let it dry. And when I get it dried, it's just so pretty. We'll get, when I get it dried, we'll see if I can pick it up. No, major disaster. There. There's the back side of it. I mean, it looks really good. I mean, it's a far cry from what it was. You got a little bit of surface here and there, but honestly, they got all that in between the transformers. Because you're using a heat gun. All the tubes are in place where they come from. All the tube sockets are tightened up. I don't think I needed to clean them. We'll just wait on the thing to dry out good. We want these transformers to be nice and dry. very careful not to touch these adjustments, because I don't want to touch anything on here if I don't have to, because I'm hoping it'll come up, run, and be accurate. And so all I got to do then is just fix the cabinet. And what I'm thinking I'm going to do there is probably, I don't know if I want to re-veneer it or not, or just fill it in with some filler and then just maybe paint it a different color. I don't know. Anyway, that's the update, and so I guess there'll be one more update after this, maybe two. All right, talk to you later.